and welcome to My Xbox and Me, episode 283. I am one of your hosts, MC Fixer, alongside the one and only Mr. Matt P. Video. What's poppin', brother?
I'm good, mate. I'm good. I was saying, it's been a chilled out week for me. I felt relaxed. I felt good.
That's good.
And I'm excited to chat about some Xbox.
I'm glad you've been relaxed. It's been a weird week. It's been one of those weeks where I'm like, I've spoken about it a few times. I've been super demotivated. We've been trying to move. We've been viewing places. We've been trying to move. That doesn't look like it's going to happen.
Well, that'll do it.
So now I'm figuring out how things are going to continue, where I'm at, and it's a bit of a nightmare. The problem I've got is most of the audience, my Xbox and Me audience, MC Fixer audience, is American. We know that. That's why we speak in dollars for you guys. For those British people that listen and like, why is he talking dollars? The majority of my audience is American. So for me, I'm like, I need to get back on the American time zone just so my business can do a little bit better than it has been doing. But no, I'm struggling to do that at the moment. So without disturbing everybody else in this tiny apartment. So we've got to figure that out. So yeah, it's been a weird week, really, for me. I'm playing some video games that I haven't been playing, which is nice, and we'll talk about those soon. And then I'm just sort of waiting. I'm waiting for the government over in the UK. We're waiting for the 8th. My fiance's a teacher, so we're sort of sitting there waiting for that to know if she's going to be going back in schools. And then we get all this news about events that are coming back and things, and we're just like, what is going on right now? But
nobody knows.
But we did get the Mortal Kombat trailer.
Which was dope. It was so surprising.
Dude.
Like, I had no expectations and no hope for that thing at all.
If you haven't watched my reaction video, go check it out on youtube.com/mcfixer. My reaction is up, and literally at the start of the video, I'm just like, I've got I'm just watching this. Let's just watch it. We'll see what it's like. And then I watched it, I was like, I couldn't take the smile off my face while watching it. I was just like, this is so bloody good. Before we go any further, I need to make a public announcement to the My Xbox and Me audience, because I've seen it in the comments, I've seen it in the tweets, I've had a couple of DMs about it, I've noticed a few things, all right? Kresh hasn't left the podcast, all right? Because some people didn't listen.
I'm not here to replace your dad, okay?
So, people didn't make it to the end of last week's episode, totally understand, all right? But I want to say this up front, Kresh hasn't left. Kresh is still sorting out the new place that he's living. He's helping his family sort all of that out. He was going to try and make it work this week, couldn't make it work. So he said from next week, he said, again, DM Kresh, talk to Kresh, I don't know. But from next week, Kresh said he should be back to normal-ish of life. So he should be able to come back next week. But yeah, for people who think we've just absolutely just got rid of Kresh, like, no. Kresh is one of my best friends in this industry. Kresh isn't going anywhere. I'm not planning on getting rid of Kresh. Like, just everyone be cool. Kresh hasn't disappeared, all right? Everyone just be cool. Like, Matt has come in. He's helped out a lot. We wanted to make a 3-man team anyway for the video podcast. We wanted to build this up as we have been, and it's working out great. But just everyone, stay calm. My children, stay calm. If you don't know what My Xbox and Me is, though, it is our weekly Xbox podcast here on youtube.com/myxboxandme and podcast services. If you want to get the show early, head over to patreon.com/mcfixer, along a bunch of other goodies. We got some Mario Let's Play up right now with myself and Haley. I'll be dressed up as Mario and Luigi. Find that over there. And also the big one is to subscribe to the YouTube channel, youtube.com/myxboxandme. Even if you're listening to this on podcast services, do us a favor, head over to the YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, turn notifications on. I want to start doing more content, Xbox-focused content, in terms of maybe a little bit more timely news. I'm thinking about maybe doing a live stream once a week again over there, whether it be like a Game Pass pick of the week or something like that. But that only works if we have the viewers' engagement and people that want to care about that. So let us know if you think that's a good idea, and we will definitely consider it. Patreon producers this week, you got Erin Guard, FNH Paul, and Al Trasman. Thank you so much for the support. And the big topic of the show this week, I got a little boop, 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 boop on my phone. Yeah, it wasn't like that, but it was from my friend Greedy Ears. And he said a whole long thing, but I've boiled it down to this, which is, what was Xbox's last killer IP /game? Like, So the point was, I think, that he was going off of is I have been saying for many years now that Xbox need new games, need more AAA games. And he kind of spun it and was like, but what was the last one? So I've got a list of all the Xbox One exclusives / Xbox Series X exclusives, which we've only had 2 of so far. Mm-hmm. And I just thought we would just, off the top of your head, someone says that to you, what do you go to?
Yeah, it's a difficult one, right? Because it is, how do you define that, right? And I think it's different for every person. Looking through the list that you've jotted down right now, the one that sticks out to me is Sunset Overdrive. And it's
Okay.
super upsetting that was so long ago. Mm-hmm. like it should be a Halo game. It should be a Gears game. But for me, as far as, what is the last killer IP? For me, that's like something that does something new. And so when you pick in the 5th and 6th version of that game, it doesn't stand out as much as something like Sunset Overdrive did for me, where it was so new and so interesting, and visually and mechanically, it was just a top-notch game.
Bar none. Sunset Overdrive was the best Xbox One generation game. That was the best exclusive we had on the platform. I don't think you can really even argue that, which is super sad to say that, considering it come from a second-party studio, and then it didn't sell well because Xbox exclusives at the time weren't selling well. We didn't have Game Pass.
And it was like a launch title, right?
It was just after
close
launch,
enough,
if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, but it was. I remember when that game. That was my first ever EGX. Actually, I went and saw that game, and I remember playing and being like, "This is gonna be dope." And obviously, you see what Insomniac done with that game, and then just literally took it over to Spider-Man. And you're like, "Wow, this is what you could have had." But yeah, for me, it's funny. It's funny you say that, like 4, 5, and 6s and stuff like that. When it comes to like Halo, Gears, Forza, things like that.
Forza,
right?
yeah.
I think the weird thing for me is Gears 1, 2, and 3 is its own thing, and 4, 5, and obviously when 6 comes, is going to be its own thing as well. It's kind of a shame. I understand why they're named the way they are, but it's kind of a shame that you have that baggage of Gears 4 and 5, that they are numbered 4 and 5, because people don't feel like they're accessible and a good starting point when you hear 4, 5, right? Where Gears actually is. That is kind of the perfect place to start. And Gears 5 is such a must-play game for Xbox fans that in my head, Gears 5 is the answer. It was the last big game that Xbox put out on a level of which I think was accessible to everybody. Everybody could play it. It had a little bit of open world. It had some side missions. You obviously had the skiff. The story was interesting. And I remember at the time not liking some of that newer stuff. But now I look back on it and I think to myself, no, they tried something new. And that's something that the Gears series needed. It needed something new. It needed something different. So my head automatically goes to Gears 5. But I don't think Gears 5 is the greatest starting point, because you kind of need to know what happened in 4.
Yeah.
So it's a hard
totally.
one.
I think Gears 5 is kind of the God of War of that franchise, like the God of War 2018, right? But they had the balls to drop the numbers, right? And make it feel more accessible, like you're saying, set it in this new world and really change up what that game is. I think that's what people are hoping for from Halo Infinite. And Halo Infinite should be the answer to this question when that launches. I'm terrified that it won't be, right? Because I think we're going to get more Halo. And that's not a bad thing.
I disagree with you, though. Because after watching... I'm not a Halo guy, as most people... Anyone who's listened to this podcast for more than a week will know. Halo's not a series that gets me hyped the way it does most people. I'm definitely a Gears guy, where that's where I lived in with my early days of playing Xbox 360 games. Infinite for me, though what they showed wasn't graphically amazing, the change in scope of it being more open, the grappling hook, things of that nature, that's not normal Halo stuff. So I think we're going to get what we're hoping. I just wonder, is it going to be done in the way that we want? It's going to be different, but is it going to be different? Like you brought up God of War, for instance, which is a great example of like turning it on its head of what we expected a God of War game to be, right?
Yeah.
If you would have told me before God of War 2018 that you're going to love God of War and it may be in your top 10 games of all time, I would have went, yeah, all right. Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
You keep thinking that. Do I think Gears Infinite. Do I think Halo Infinite has the ability to do that? I don't know. And I think that's what upsets me a little bit.
I think it stands a good chance. You're right? The open world segments of that game that we've seen, the grappling hook, these are changes that make it feel fresh. Mm-hmm. We know that the multiplayer is going to be free to play, whatever that looks like. They've got everything lined up to make it seem like it should work. But everything that goes on slightly behind the surface, behind the curtain, spells disaster, right? People leaving the project, delays, like... It's difficult to have a lot of confidence in how that game is going to launch.
Yeah.
Man, I mean, best case scenario, it takes over Warzone and Fortnite in its free-to-play multiplayer, and the campaign is the God of War that Halo needed. But I don't very confident.
No. That's what we want. Doesn't mean it's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I kind of... The weird thing about this question, well, I think it's a great question, because I think it very much opens the eyes to what we've been missing on the console, which is killer IP. We're missing AAA killer IP games. That's a fact. Nobody can say otherwise. That is something that we've been missing for years. It's something that we've been sitting around waiting for. It's something that I think a lot of Xbox fans have given Phil Spencer the benefit of that they're going to come. We look at the acquisitions. But the proof is in the pudding, right? We still need to wait for State of Decay 3 to come out. We still need to wait for the next Forza game to come out. We still need to wait for the next Fable, Everwild. Like, all of these titles that are coming. Are any of those games going to resonate the way that, and I hate to bring up the competition, but it's even Mario, Last of Us, God of War, Horizon... Any of these new IPs that have come out from PlayStation, are they going to resonate on that level?
There's an interesting thing going on there, right? In those games that you mentioned. And I'm not sure it's connected or relevant even really, but like Horizon, Spider-Man, God of War, Mario, they're all mascots. Like Kratos is recognizable. You know, even Aloy in Horizon, I think, is recognizable.
That's a stretch. That's a stretch.
But Spider-Man certainly is.
Of course.
From The Last of Us certainly is. Like,
yep.
And all these games that we're mentioning for Xbox, apart from Master Chief, they don't really have that Marcus, I guess, from Gears. Yeah, I guess.
Well, no, I wouldn't say Marcus. I would say Kate now. I feel like Marcus has definitely taken a step back. I understand what you're saying. They don't have when you look or think of the games of which Everwild, State of Decay,
Sunset Overdrive, customizable character.
Sunset was a harder one, but you don't have somebody you go, oh, I identify with that character, or I really like that character. That you start getting behind it. Where obviously, like you said, Kratos and things like that. I think the thing for me is. Obviously, I'm forgetting about Perfect Dark as well, which that does have a recognizable character. We think we don't know anything yet, but you would assume. For me, it's proof is in the pudding. Proof is in the pudding, and only time will tell. The problem is game development takes so long. So when we eventually do get these games, it's now been a decade, or it's been. I've been doing this podcast 5 years. I'm still waiting for us to have our moment of like, see, I told you it was good. Like, I'm still waiting for that moment. Not that I don't think Gears 5 or Gears Tactics or Forza. I think, again, if you look around the actual industry and you map out Xbox's studios now, you go, okay, they've got the best racing game. They've got whether you like Killer Instinct or not, they've got a very good fighting game. They've got one of the best third-person shooter games in Gears of War. They've got some of the best RPG studios. Like, if you really look around, they're building the gauntlet of like the best studios for what they do. It's just, will those games resonate on the same level in which PlayStation and Nintendo's exclusives do? and time will only tell with that.
Sure.
the
That's the
way.
difficulty. Sorry, go on.
Go on, no, please.
I was going to say that's the difficulty with this question at the moment is that it's looking back and we go, man, these games that we're mentioning came out so long ago. The games we're expecting in the next couple of years should be the answer to this question, right? Whatever comes from Bethesda next, Elder Scrolls 6, a couple of years is optimistic, I know. But come on. But that should be in there, right? And Halo Infinite, like we keep mentioning, should be in there. Like you say, they're buying all studios to put in place to have something that can rival the God of War, Horizon, Spider-Man, Sony side.
But are they? That's the
Well, I hope
question. Are they buying these studios to have the next God of War, or are they buying these studios to produce high quality AAA games that are going to come out quicker than, say, a God of War or something, because they can feed their player base of 18 million in Game Pass, which they're hoping is obviously pushed well beyond 18 million behind that point. Like, I look at Xbox, and that's my biggest worry is State of Decay 3? State of Decay 2 was a fine game. It wasn't what I wanted. I love zombies. I love survival. It's a real weird mix between. State of Decay 3 for me, in that trailer they showed, has set the tone of this is going to look immaculate. It's going to look like a AAA game. It's going to feel like a AAA game. From that teaser trailer, anything below that now, I'm going to go, what the hell are you doing? Like, the expectations has been set. Everwild is the same thing with, like, Rare. Obviously, I think I'm probably doing Sea of Thieves a little bit of disjustice here in terms of the Last Killer IP, because again, they do have a really good pirate game. If you look around the industry, you would say Sea of Thieves is one of the best pirate games out there. It's just a different. It's three actually, very different companies doing very different things, and I think Xbox fans, at least I can speak for myself, is like, I just want really great storytelling. That's what Xbox is missing in its first party.
100%.
It's really, I love Halo. I know a lot of people are getting me for this, but I never got Halo story. I never understood it. It never came with me. I know people, I'll read the books, and I'm like, then the game didn't do a good enough job. If I have to read the books, the game didn't do a good enough job, in my opinion.
100%.
Where the only strong story I can think of from a first-party Xbox studio now is Gears, where they've taken me on a journey where I've felt things, and I've been emotional, I've been happy, I've been sad, I've laughed, I've cried. That is the only series in which I'm invested in, the way, unlike I am in other game series. Even like Mario, to a certain instance, like, I'm invested in. I know Luigi, I love Luigi, I dress up as Luigi, like, I'm invested in that. Xbox just doesn't have that yet. So to answer the question, for me, Gears 5, for you, Sunset Overdrive.
I think so.
That is super upsetting. And I think and beyond, right, I worry. I think if you look at what's come out lately, The Medium, it was okay. Bleeding Edge, it was okay. Even the third party deals they've done, Dead Rising 4, it was okay.
Yeah.
The Falconeer, it's a more of an indie title, but it was okay. Like, I'm really worried about this year for Xbox, because you look at the games they third party license with, and I'm just like, none of these games really scream anything to me. They just don't. I'm looking at it and I'm like, obviously you've got, is it Scorn? We've got Scorn, you've got Second Extinction, Call of Sea, Bright Memory Infinite, The Ascent. They look like good games, but they look like, in which I'm saying, which is it's going to feed that Game Pass audience, which I'm not. I know some of those are not in Game Pass, but they're just not to that level of what I'm. Hellblade is the only game that I'm sitting there going, okay, narratively, you can actually do something for me. Even though I haven't played the first game yet, and I'm just waiting until we get a release date so I can sort of run through both of them back to back. But what else is out there for me when the medium fell very much from grace for me? It just wasn't that. Again, tell me why. Tell me why it's a fantastic game that needed to be made. And to me, I really loved that. But that's not a game you can really hang your hat on and go, this is why you buy an Xbox, or this is why you play in this ecosystem. It just isn't there.
Maybe there really has been a shift in mentality around this, right? Like internally at Xbox to say, if we're going to host a subscription service like Game Pass, we need content. And quantity at this point might be more important than quality. And statistically, I'm sure the more content you keep uploading to Game Pass, the more subscribers stay subscribed and the more new subscribers you get. Versus we keep coming back to it and I hate to do it, but versus a God of War like title that drops and people get their free pass for the first month and are in and out. Versus having all these little things that flood through and keep people interested. And so maybe...
I don't think anybody who's not a fanboy, which is, again, not what I'm into, if you're into that, you're more than welcome to be into that. Just don't do it around me, personally, and don't do it in my chat. But you can't sit here and deny that PlayStation have come out with fantastic games. If you are into single-player, story-driven, narrative games, PlayStation have some of the best in the industry. If not the best in the industry. If you're into multiplayer games, PlayStation doesn't have that, where I'd say Xbox has that, in terms of its online and stuff like that. But it's just very different approaches. I think some people, I play on all different consoles, right? And I mainly play on Xbox for my third parties, just because this is where I like the ecosystem. But I buy all these consoles because they do different things. If Xbox had a Mario, why would I need my Switch? If Xbox had a Last of Us, why would I need my PlayStation 5? It's not a bad thing that they do different things. I think we always get caught up in... I'm really interested to see what Fable's like.
Yes.
What is Fable going to be? What is Everwild going to be? And then I'll know... Once we see all this, we're going to know where Xbox are at in terms of, okay, they are a subscription service that happens to own a box.
Yeah.
They're not looking to get 10 out of 10s, which I'm not saying they probably wouldn't want that, but they're not... You can tell if a game's going to be a 10 out of 10. You know what sort of caliber a game needs to be to get a 10 out of 10 at any outlet. And we'll know that relatively soon. Not very soon, but relatively soon, really. If we really think about it.
I think there's this interesting thing as well in this whole discussion we've had. We keep coming back to established franchises and sequels, right? And like, State of Decay 3, I would be more excited if it wasn't State of Decay 3. If it was something new from that studio, I'd be more excited about it. And maybe it can still be a zombie thing.
I'm 100% with you, which is the whole... When you put a number on it, it instantly turns people away. And with me, I would have called it State of Decay : something.
Oh, see,
I
think State of Decay 1 and 2 are pretty great games. State of Decay 1 especially for when it came out, I think it's a really great game. I think if that studio had come out and said, we learned all this from State of Decay and now we're doing something different, it's so difficult, right? Because we're in that top 1%, top 0.1% of people who really care and would know, oh, the studio made State of Decay is making this thing, I'm interested. Whereas everybody else knows the brand of State of Decay and therefore will play State of Decay 3. So yeah, I don't know. We're in the minority, aren't we? But give me new IP.
What is going to do when it turns into a very much looks like it's going to become a games of service where they're going to put out updates, and same thing, I'm sure you'll get that with Motorsport and Ryzen. It's like, it's just different way. You'll never see PlayStation do it with Gran Turismo, not in the next 5-10 years, I don't think. But Xbox are like, well, we have this subscription service, why do we keep creating new games when we could probably just keep updating the game and the engine? The engine's at a point where it looks so fantastic. Like, do they really need anything more than just a service of like, here's new tracks, here's new cars, here's new this, here's new that, here's new challenges? Like, do they need more than that? Not really. No,
I think you're right. And I think, almost Destiny is the best example of this, right? Like, Destiny 2 is still going very strong, right? And we got a news story about it later as well. It's like, it's kind of exactly. Why isn't Forza doing what Destiny does? In just content updates. Yeah, I think you're right. I think they are. And I think especially with Game Pass, just makes that a more viable option.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably the way it's going to go. And the killer IP that Xbox has is Game Pass. And it's all of the IP, right?
100%. So that's what we've come down to. Killer IP is Game Pass.
But I want it to be
didn't
Halo
have that
Infinite.
argument anymore.
I want it to be
we
Halo
want it to be. We want it to be anything. We want it to be whatever the next big Xbox
Yes.
game is they put out.
Yeah.
That's what we want it to be. But
I think that's
will it
the
be? Who
interesting thing,
knows?
right? When you look at certainly PlayStation more than Nintendo, but I think if you answered this question for PlayStation, it would be changing. Like with almost every new release, like there's definitely an argument you can make. Whereas my answer for this is Sunset Overdrive, which is a game that came out on Xbox One
A long time
long
ago.
old time ago.
A long time ago. But does that not that set? Oh, do you know what? We'll save it.
All right.
We'll save it. Let's jump into what's been in our box. What you been playing this week, dude?
I'm still making my way through Control, still very much enjoying it, but very much enjoying taking it
Nice.
at a slow pace. I feel like I've been ripping through games lately, so taking that back is nice. Playing a bit of Warzone online, just leaving you in the dust at this point, just skill level, just incredible, like nothing you've ever seen.
Interesting.
And
How many wins? How many wins you got? How many wins you got?
moving on, and I also rolled credits on Demon Souls, which I'm aware again is PlayStation, but probably the biggest achievement of 2021 so far for me.
I uninstalled it. So
Ooh, how far did
there you go.
go? Well, it's difficult to tell in that game because you can go anywhere, but
Not far, but I uninstalled it. I uninstalled it. No, I'm good.
I
don't hate myself
it's
enough.
definitely
No good.
definitely
No,
the closest I've come to like breaking a controller playing a game.
stupidness. I've been playing Avengers. I went back to Avengers, especially with the news that all dropped, obviously. And obviously that game isn't great, I'll be honest with you, but it's the perfect podcast game for me right now. And the perfect game of like, I just can't turn my brain off.
Interesting.
So I'm going to play this and I'm smashing things, enjoying my time with it. Me and Haley are going to do the Kate Bishop DLC at some point. And then obviously we've got the Hawkeye DLC coming soon, which we'll talk about later on in the show.
I think if they'd announced
yeah.
during their war table, if they'd announced that PS5 Xbox One X patch was at that war table, if that
Today?
it would have got me back in. Genuine, it would have got me back in, but because there's the delay.
Yeah, it was
it's
a weird announcement to announce it for when it's coming. But I'm playing that, and then my last game, which I tweeted out last night, is I'm playing Yakuza Like a Dragon again, which has now become my bedtime game, and it is the perfect bedtime game. I sit down, I got to the part where, I guess spoilers for it, I'm sure no one's going to care, it's not a big spoiler, not for the main story anyway, where they're like kind of taking the mickey out of Pokemon. So that was like really funny, and I'm like, this is perfect. I sit down, I beat up a couple of guys, then I run and do a side mission, I do a main mission. I just got to the part where I'm doing tests. So me and Haley are in bed together, she's playing games on her phone, and I'm like, crap, I'm dyslexic, so reading very fast is really hard. So she's reading the questions, I'm answering them really quickly. We got 5 out of 5 on our free test. We're like, let's do more. It's like, oh, we ain't got enough money. So now, like, our journey is literally to earn enough money to go back to the school, and we'll just learn all the quizzes sort of thing.
So Yakuza's an interesting one for me. I've never played a Yakuza game, and it's one of those franchises.
No, me neither. This is my first.
And it's one of those franchises that I've struggled with. Going back to the conversation we were just having about 1, 2, 3, 4, I have no idea where to jump in with Yakuza.
Like a Dragon is brilliant.
Okay.
It's because don't get me wrong, I'm sure the hardcore of the hardcore will be able to tell you you're missing this or you're missing that. But from what I've played so far, it is a self-contained story about Ichi, and he does this, and he loves Dragon Quest, and there's enough there that the whole. I don't think this is a spoiler. Like, the premise of the game is you're building yourself back up,
Right.
to get back to the Yakuza,
Right.
So it's a perfect self-contained story for me, where I'm like, I understand everything that's going on. Cool. It's very long. It's like watching a movie at some points. Like, you'll play something and then you'll be sat for 15 minutes watching a cutscene of these characters talking. So for me, that's the perfect bedtime game, because I'll play it for an hour. I probably will never beat Yakuza Like a Dragon, never. Just because there is so much to do, and I get so distracted in it all of the time that I'm just like, I'm just going to enjoy it at my own pace. Like you're saying, it's my game that I get to enjoy. I don't have to share it with anybody. And if I decide to stream it, cool. what's going on in the story, you better go watch a YouTube video because I'm not explaining it. Like it's just a lot of fun, a lot of fun. Learn all these little mini games that are in the game as well. I'm just like, this is dope.
Cool.
This is dope.
I might have to check it out.
So, but then, yeah, it's definitely worth playing. Definitely worth playing. Let's jump into this week's dashboard. We've got a load of Xbox news. Xbox came out of nowhere with a bunch of stuff. The first big piece of news, though, is Xbox is making backwards compatibility games even better with their new FPS Boost. This is from the Xbox Wire, which says, we're excited to announce the first assortment of backwards compatibility titles that will support FPS Boost, available beginning today. The games are Far Cry 4, new Super Lucky Tale, Sniper Elite 4, UFC 4, and Watch Dogs 2. I've also been playing UFC 4 as well, actually. I forgot to mention that. The career mode, but I'll talk about that more next week. I've just started it. We chose the initial collection of titles not only because they are popular amongst fans, but to highlight several different ways the FPS Boost can improve your experience. For example, new Super Lucky Tale can now run at 120 FPS, and UFC 4 delivers improved frame rates performances specifically on Xbox Series S and can run at 60 FPS. This is just the beginning, and we will announce and release more titles featuring the FPS Boost soon as we roll out new menu icons and system settings in an upcoming system update. Starting this spring, you can go into Manage Game section for any title where you'll be presented a new compatibility option button that will allow you to toggle FPS Boost as well as auto HDR on and off. There will also be an indicator indicator informing you when a game is running with FPS Boost whenever you hit the Xbox button on your controller. Blah, 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 blah. You get it. So this new mode is actually pretty interesting, to be honest with you, because this is all done on the back end through Xbox. Mm-hmm. They've said that this can be put in for any game that the developers allow them to do it for, which, again, it's very interesting to me because the conversation about backwards compatibility, when we were talking about Xbox Series X versus PS5, right? The people who said old game's old, me and that, would be, on the PlayStation side especially, would be playing absolutely nothing right now.
Yeah.
If these companies didn't do this. So watching what Xbox are doing, because I kind of thought they'd be done with this by now. I kind of thought they would have given up on the backwards compatibility stuff. It's like, we've done plenty, you can play all those titles, and we're just going to focus on new. But they're not. They're really not. They're not done with updating these games. They're not done with trying to get the most out of these games. And they're trying to make it the best place to play any game compared to its competitors, which I think is really good.
Yeah, I think you're right with this mentality of old game is old. I think a lot of people had that coming into this generation, and I think you've seen it tilt the other way as it's gone. Like the amount of people who were excited about Ghost of Tsushima getting an update, God of War got an update just a couple of weeks ago. People were excited, and so I think you're right. Yeah, people were feeling old games gold, and now they're not. Like now they're in a little bit of a drought of stuff that's coming out, and so I'm going to be really interested to see if you continue now with UFC 4 and then it gets its update. Really interested to see what you think about that. The thing that scares me about this is we've seen AI boosting FPS in all sorts of stuff. You know, there are certain TVs that'll do it, and it's always horrible. Like, in my experience with those kind of things, it's always horrible. And so what this will actually look like, I don't know. I mean, boosting something to 120 frames seems incredible.
Super Lucky Tales, I'm sure it's fine.
Well, sure.
I'm sure it's fine.
Yeah.
I think what I've always found covering Xbox is they always do a great job with it. And the fact that this is going to be in the menus, you're going to be able to toggle it on and off as you please. It's that ease of use. It's like when something's given to you, like, well, how do I stop this? It's literally push your Xbox button. Oh, turn that off. I want HDR on instead. Boom, there it is. Like, as long as the option is there, I don't think it's a bad thing.
I wonder,
but it's when you take that option away and just don't make it easy for people to do, I think is the problem.
I wonder though if it'll be on by default. It doesn't sound like it from the way they're wording this.
No, I think it's something you're going to have to go and toggle. I think it's going to be something you have to go and toggle. And if you want the improved frame rates or HDR, then you can go do that. And if you don't, no problem. Carry on playing the game that you love and you're enjoying.
It seems like an odd move to me because, like you say, we're clued in on this stuff, but what percentage of Xbox gamers are? What percentage of Xbox gamers are going to know how to do that?
But I think it's that whole thing where if you look at these two systems, the two main systems, there's not much to tell you them apart, right? Like, they're both very powerful. One has a faster SSD, one has more storage space. Like, I feel like anything that can give you the edge over your your opponent, I guess, is a good thing. So for me, it's just nice to see the backwards compatibility team still working hard to deliver these different experiences.
Absolutely.
Again, when we bought these consoles, we didn't know that we didn't think old games were going to be able to get boosted. As long as they run better. Did you see the video come out of the meme song? What is it? Never gonna give you up.
Rick Roll.
Never gonna.
Rick Ashley, yeah.
Yeah, so that's it, yeah. So did you see the video that came out of they updated it to 60 frames per second and in 4K?
No, I did not. But I will
So
need
that
to check
came
that
out. That came out, and I was like, unless I'm getting memed as well, maybe I'm just getting memed, but I'm pretty sure it looked like really good. I'm like, wow, this looks dope. So if this is anything like that for games, I am all about it. Definitely all about it. Don't copyright strike me for that singing either. Guys, all right? No one did that. Next up, new Xbox wireless headset has been announced. Microsoft has announced the Xbox Series X and Xbox Series S. The black and green over-ear headset has a retractable microphone, PU leather ear cups, and metal inner headband. The edges of the cups are rubber. Look, again, go look at the photos if you really care about all this deep nitty-gritty stuff. My opinions of it look really dope. I've ordered one. I currently use A50s. Which are Astro A50s. They're really nice. They're a little bit uncomfortable though on my head, unfortunately. So I've ordered these, hopefully, number one, so I can review them for the podcast as well as on the YouTube channel. But the other part is I just want a more comfortable headset, and at the price point of £89.99, I think they're $100. I really couldn't say no. It's a very nice price point. It just depends on how good they actually are, which is super important. So It has the Bluetooth two-way thing, so you can connect to your phone and your Xbox, which is the biggest thing people ask for because they want to talk in Discord. So Xbox are actually giving you a way to talk in Discord with your friends and be able to play their games. I'm sure we're never going to get Discord on Xbox. I think that's a very safe assumption. Xbox have party chat. Why would they do that? Why would they want to throw away their own thing? But this is a nice little thing of like, hey, you want to listen to Discord on your phone, use these. Obviously, the SteelSeries has these, and amongst a few other headsets. But I'm really looking forward to it. I can't wait to actually get my hands on this headset.
Yeah, I think it looked really interesting. I think they're even kind of going down that more Apple-y route with these kind of products. You know, like it has no dongle; it just connects straight through, and that seems like such a small thing, right? But it is annoying that the front of my PS5 has the Pulse 3D headset little dongle in it, and I hate it because the back of my PS5 has an adapter for my PlayStation VR, which is a whole other pain in the ass. But yeah, like that, like it just makes sense, right? And it just works. We
hope
don't know
it just
if
works.
it just works, right? You hope that it kind of, or you hope it kind of has that Apple magic of just popping them on and it works it out itself. But we'll see, I guess. But yeah, no, super cool announcement. It kind of, I didn't realize that they didn't have a headset of this caliber. You know, like the Pulse 3D came with the PS5, came out at launch. And it didn't even register to me that Xbox were missing out on this until now. But hey, it looks great.
Yeah,
so why not?
the cynic in me is like, this is why the optical port got killed, which upsets me for both companies. I'm like, yeah, you bastards. You just want to sell your own headset. Yeah.
Yeah.
The other part of me is like, it probably just wasn't ready. Like, why announce something that's not going to be out for... Yeah. Again, this doesn't come out until... I don't actually know the date in which it comes out. I think it's March, I think. Maybe May. Maybe you're right.
I don't know. I'll look
it up. But yeah, it looks nice. It's very interesting. The other piece of news to go along with this, which is Xbox new headset was hidden in the Xbox Series X and S launch trailer. So if you actually watch the trailer, who is it? The dude from Get Out. What's his name? Damn it. I don't actually remember his name. Daniel. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. Is it Kaluuya? He's in it as a CG avatar. Sure. And he's actually got the headset on, which is like super smart of Xbox of like, We'll see if people notice. We'll see if people notice, if even think they're real, because we just assumed they were fake.
Nobody did.
Nobody noticed. Obviously, Phil
Yeah,
Spencer hid the Series X in a video that he's done before. The Bethesda team hid the Indiana Jones secret in one of their things. It's just little things like this. Always like, that's dope. Well, what else are we missing in some of these videos?
Just to jump back to it very quickly, $99, and they are out beginning March
there we go.
16th in worldwide Xbox markets. Blair.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Looking forward to
So there we
trying
go.
them out and giving you guys our opinions on those when we can. Hopefully, you'll send us some beforehand so I can actually get a review out on time. But we'll see. We'll see. Next up, piece of news we kind of already knew was happening, but Codemasters has now officially completed its 1.2 billion acquisition. EA have acquired Codemasters for 1.2 billion, but it has been said that Codemasters will remain an independent group after the acquisition. The quote here is, "We will be treating the Codemasters Studios as an independent group for the foreseeable future, giving them all the support they need to deliver their much-loved games and exploring all opportunities for growth as well." End quote. The thing for me here is that was the thing that a lot of people were worried about with this deal, which EA were going to EA it. They were going to come in and how do we microtransaction this and how do we microtransaction that, and hey, this game doesn't sell well enough. I'm happy to hear they're going to be remain independent for now. How long does that last, though, is the truth.
Well, it's how long does that last and what does that actually mean, right? Like the end of that quote there is exploring all opportunities for growth as we go. Like, and so really, they're not saying a lot here, are they? They're saying they're going to stay independent, they're going to make the games they want to make, and
I think it's
grow. Does that mean that there's some sort of ultimate team in the new Formula
They've
1
already
game?
got that, I think. I think that's already in there. I think they've actually already got that.
Really? Okay.
We had Mr. Moody on. We got him a review copy to review it for my Xbox and me. Excuse me. So that was, I think they've got something like that already. But yeah, I think it's, the thing I worry about is the games that don't make as much money. Is when EA then step in. I think the Formula 1, you're fine. Even Dirt, maybe it's some of the other games that maybe they'll put out there like, this one didn't do quite as well. And then they start second guessing decisions that don't need to be second guessed, is what would worry me, to be honest with you. But
yeah, it's a difficult one. You just don't know what's going to happen, do
Good
we?
luck.
So it's an encouraging
yeah,
statement.
no,
sorry.
Definitely.
But we'll see.
Next up, this comes from the EGX Twitter, and for those of you who don't know what EGX is, it is our version of like a Comic-Con. We've got Comic-Con as well, but it's more like a PAX and like a games show. With optimism and safety in mind, we are announcing that EGX and EGX Rezzed, or Rezzed, I'm pretty sure it's Rezzed, will be sponsored by Virgin Media and are back in 2021. So I will go on to read this, because I've got some thoughts. I've got to be honest with you. I've got some thoughts.
Are you skeptical, Fix? Are you skeptical?
Skeptical is one thing to say. We are excited to announce that EGX and EGX Rezzed, sponsored by Virgin Media, are planning to return in 2021. Our main goal has always been to create a safe space and accepting space for our community and passionate gamers. We're announcing our proposed dates now to help partners plan for how they may attend this year, as well as provide a chance to start conventions about how to bring attendees, panelists, exhibitors, and our broader community together at each event. It takes a lot of prep to create an EGX event that you know and love, so we have to start the planning early. But your safety is always our highest priority, and we will only run these events if it is safe to do so. If things if things go well, there is a good chance that we will be able to put on live events in the summer and the latter half of the year. Yeah, so it's back in London. Just for people who don't know, it's going to be 15th of July to the 17th for Rees back at the Tobacco Dock, and it's the 7th of October to the 10th of October at the XL Centre. So.
I can't imagine myself going to any events this summer.
Dude, do you know what? If you would have said that to me before I had COVID, I would have agreed with you. Like, no way, not going, no chance, blah, 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 blah. Now I am ready to get out of the house. And I've already had COVID.
Yeah, for sure.
I
And
think
by
it's,
summer,
I think
you're
it's
gonna
the
be
thing
more
of
so.
I've already had COVID. Not that you can't get COVID again. Haley's had COVID twice. But I've seen Haley have COVID twice. So I'm like, if I get it again, I'm going to be okay. I'm going to be okay. No, the truth of the matter of all of this is I don't think this is a good idea. If COVID is still as rampant as it is in London, obviously I think this is a dumb idea if that is the case. We don't know what the case is. We don't know what it's going to be like at these times. And I do understand it from a perspective of they do need to plan for it in case it can happen. Because obviously companies like this are losing so much money. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
And staff. Like I've seen a lot of the EGX team who I've known and dealt with through the years who have now left to go on to different things. Like, well, I couldn't keep working for them. There's no work. Like I can't, there's nothing to do. Like,
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people have seen that this industry is super scary now, like especially with like it's like it could all be gone in a global pandemic, so maybe I should look into other things. But do I think this will happen? Probably not. I still don't. I still think July is too early.
I think July is, it's cutting it too fine. October, I'm optimistic for. I don't know. Maybe they say something where, if you're going to attend, you have to have had a vaccine. You have to have proof of that. And then maybe that does get people really excited. The vaccines they're getting out there now. And so for us to have had our first dose in July is probably optimistic. I think by October, my God, you'd hope so. I mean, I think the government officially is saying August. They want everybody to be vaccinated. Whether or not that happens, we don't know. But I mean, look, if the vaccines are in and the October event wants to go ahead, great. It's so difficult with these sorts of events. So there's so much money, there's so much planning that goes into it. Yeah, I'm not surprised that companies have started to come out and say, we're going to try and do an event this year. And being a little bit reserved about it like they are, in, I can't remember what they said now, but in the spirit of safety and providing a safe space and all. Like, they're taking it seriously, but equally, they need to make the money. They need to keep the people employed. They need to get Virgin Media onto sponsor, and so they need to promise them something. And so it's just a big game of business at the end of the day, isn't it? And you've got to do something. But my God, I hope. I mean, July 15th is my birthday. I'll see you there, mate. If we're all vaccinated.
Yeah, I'm July
up and stuff,
20th, so I'm like, hey, I'll be sick for my birthday. Great.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Tobacco Dogs actually. It depends how they. Honestly, it depends how they're gonna do it. Like, if they're gonna do it in a way of, it's just a free for all, like it usually is. I don't know if I'm interested in doing that personally. If it is going to be a bit more controlled, limited numbers per day, separate tickets per day, stuff like that, I'd be more interested. But yeah, well, we will see. We will see. I'm optimistic, but I'm not. I wouldn't hold my breath on this one. I've got to be honest.
That's difficulty though, and obviously they're bringing this to London, whereas previously.
Well, last year was
Birmingham.
London. Oh, the last ones that happened. Yeah, the last ones that
okay.
happened were in London. They got rid of Birmingham for the last couple. But again, London. Yeah, people are not happy about that. People are not happy about that.
I think Birmingham is obviously a much more central area of the UK, right? So for people coming down from up north and that kind of thing, it's easier for them, and it's kind of meet in the middle.
But I'm from London, so that's all that matters.
Exactly. But a lot of the people who are working in the industry, a lot of the journalists you want there, a lot of the, the people you need there are based in London. And so as well, when you're trying to set up an event and people are unsure, and who knows how the north is going to be with COVID compared to the south when it comes to October, London's probably a safer bet for 2021.
From the insiders that I know, I'm pretty sure they got priced out. Where they used to host it in Birmingham, it was just too. Where they used to host it in Birmingham, it was just too expensive. And I think the XL right now is relatively cheap compared to other venues. So I think that's where it comes down to for that business-wise, honestly. But that's just stuff that I've heard. So, yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, to be honest with you. We'll have to wait and see. Next up, Bungie announces huge expansion as it targets release of non-Disney Destiny game before 2025. Bungie creator and Halo developer behind Destiny 2 is set to double the size of its US headquarters and open a new office in Europe as part of its massive expansion. As per a press release from the company, Bungie plans to open a new office in Amsterdam in 2022 that will serve as the studio publishing and marketing hub that will ensure Bungie ongoing commitment to unify and expand onto their passionate players community all over the world. It looks like Destiny is set to move outside of just gaming too, as, quote, additional media has been teased for the IP too. Quote, to expand the Destiny IP and bring new stories and experiences to their highly engaged community, Bungie appointed Mark Noseworthy, Vice President Destiny Universe, and Luke Smith, Executive Creative Director Destiny Universe, to oversee and prepare for the expansion of the Destiny Universe into an additional media. The press release reads, Justin Truman, General Manager of Destiny 2, takes over the successful development leadership of Destiny 2. So, Bungie are going to do, which we said before, what they've done with Halo, really, which we're probably going to get books and maybe a film and maybe a comic book and maybe all of that stuff. It's to really build out this world. The weird thing for me is, with this, is I look at Destiny 2 as a hardcore game that even I can't get into. Like, this is it's the most hardcore game of, like, you can't just step into that world. So it's interesting to see them try and go for books and films and stuff like that with even the fan base itself. Like, no disrespect to anyone that's a Destiny fan, but they're not the most welcoming bunch either. Like,
sure. Yeah, I think Destiny 2 is one of those games that I've put a lot of time into, and I have no idea what's going on in that game, story-wise.
Yeah,
not a clue.
same.
None of the characters are that interesting. Cade was probably the most character and the most well-known character, I think is fair to say. But there's nothing. If a Destiny movie got announced, I would be interested because I'd be like, oh, this is an accessible way for me to get a grips on what the fuck is going on in Destiny 2. Because at the moment, I agree. So, like, it kind of excites me. But yeah, there are people out there who love Destiny and are really into the lore. But for me, it's about as accessible as Bloodborne is for the lore, and that's purposefully obtuse. Like, that's designed to be difficult. And so yeah, it's kind of bizarre to me that they're, I mean, look, they think that there's this audience out there for these materials, and I'm sure they've done a lot of market research about it to prove that that is the case. I'm not going to be picking up a Destiny book at any point. If Destiny movie comes out, a TV show,
me either.
Yeah, I'll probably watch it. But
I think it's smart of them with, if you look at Resident Evil coming to Netflix and obviously so The Witcher and stuff like that, it's like, well, the money's clearly there for these adaptations to games, whether it's with Hulu or Apple TV, and like, why would you take that off the table if you've been, maybe they've been approached before and just like, no, we're focused on the game. Now they're independent, obviously. They're like, okay, perfect. Now we've got the game in a place where people are happy. We've got a steady amount of content. We want to make a new game, which obviously will hopefully be a little bit more accessible to new players, which currently Destiny isn't. And also maybe we can build upon what we have here. I think it's a smart business idea. I just wonder if it works.
It's difficult, right?
I wonder if it pays off.
How long have we heard about the Halo movie? And Steven Spielberg is attached, and now he is a
Spielberg, baby. Spielberg.
And if you can't get Halo off the ground as an IP for a movie, what are you going to do with Destiny? And I think, you mentioned The Witcher and Resident Evil. I think they're easier pitches than Destiny is to a Netflix, right? It's hey, 100%. We've got this character who does magic and hunts monsters, and it's Henry Cavill. Easy sell.
Yeah.
What do you pitch the Destiny TV show as?
Well, we got this ghost called Peter Dinklage,
but now he's not Peter Dinklage. Yeah, exactly.
Now he's known the North.
And it comes back to that conversation again of like, how important is a mascot character? And Destiny is not that game. It is not. It doesn't have a Geralt of Rivia. It doesn't have
It doesn't have someone. I agree with you. I would have said Cade would have been the character, and obviously I'm not going to spoil it, but you know what happens to him if you played games, or you know where he goes. So for me, it's just Destiny's not that game for me anymore. But you say you're 100% right. I played 1. I played some of 1 the expansion. I played 2. I played some of 2's expansion. I couldn't tell you anything that happens in the game. I go off, I shoot people, and I'm happy. There you go.
Yeah. And for
gameplay-wise, Destiny's fantastic.
This will also be
story-wise.
This will be sacrilege to a lot of listeners, I'm sure. But for me, Halo is the same way. Like,
No, dude, that is literally the same with
Chief
me.
is cool.
Exactly
and
the same
I guess
with
I'm
me.
fighting the Covenant and the Flood, but I don't really know what
Yep.
I know there's like a load of political things going on.
There's a ring. Hey,
If you say so.
don't forget about the ring.
Aliens,
There's a
you know what
Halo
I mean?
ring. There's a ring. No, 100%. I'm exactly the same. Exactly the same. Yeah, people are going
People are
to
going to be
that
screaming,
yeah. But yeah, that is that. Moving on, we got some great news that Fall Guys is finally coming to Xbox. It will be coming summer 2021. And like we said earlier, Marvel's Avengers PS5 and Xbox Series X versions are arriving in March. This was also announced at the War Table along with the Hawkeye and his Operation Hawkeye Future Imperfect DLC that is coming March. No, that comes the same day, March 18th. Both of those two. I'm looking forward to it. I kind of wish it wasn't Hawkeye after we got Kate Bishop. Like, do we really need both of those?
Yeah.
Like one after each other.
Does Avengers have crossplay?
But they need a raid. Nope. Needs crossplay, needs cross progression. It needs so my main account's on PlayStation. Because of Spider-Man. I've got it on both, but my main account is on PlayStation.
I'd be more intrigued to jump back in if I was jumping in with you, say, but I'm on
With
PlayStation
people.
and I'm not
Yeah.
gonna buy it again on Xbox to
No, definitely not. Don't. But yeah, no, it's one of those games, man. I really wish
I want it to be good.
I really wish
want it to
it
be
was
good.
good.
And
I
there are-
really wish
there
it.
are
Yeah,
little
me too.
things in it that are brilliant. I think the
What? Brilliant.
Yeah.
Slow down.
I think
Slow
Cap's moveset is brilliant. Like, I think
down. Captain America's was the weakest
throwing
character.
that shield
What are you
and then
talking
timing the rebound and it's like for me, his shield is, again, this is going to be sacrilege to a lot of people,
Guys,
is up there with like the Leviathan axe as like one of the best
No, it isn't.
feeling weapons.
No,
in a
it
video
isn't.
game.
No, it isn't.
is.
No, it isn't. You're okay. Wait, Crash, come back. Crash.
I've killed him.
Crash!
I've killed him and buried him in the garden.
Yeah, no, for me, there's nothing that's brilliant about the game. There's a lot of very good things, but all they need is an end game. Give me Thanos to beat up at the end in a raid, and then I can grind the damn game. But there's nothing. There's just nothing. Nothing to go, oh, this is what you need. It sucks. Absolutely sucks. But
We'll see.
That is that. Game Pass games coming in February. You've got Code Vein February 18th, Pillars of Eternity, Deadfire Ultimate Edition coming to Clad and console February 18th. Wreckfest coming to Clad, console and PC February 18th. Killer Queen Black Clad and console February 23rd. Dirt 5 Clad, console and PC February 25th. Elite Dangerous coming to console February 25th, and Super Hot Mind Control Delete PC February 25th. Games for Gold this month, you have Gears 5 February 1st to February 28th, Resident Evil February 1st to February 28th, Dandara Trials of Fear Edition February 16th to March 15th, Indiana Jones The Emperor's Tomb February 1st to February 15th, and Lost Planet 2 from February 16th to February 28th. That's it for this week, dude. Let's plug, and get ourselves out of it. What you got to plug this week?
Follow me on Twitter at MattPVideo. I put everything that I do pretty much up on there, so you can check it all out.
Damn straight. I've got, like I say, Mortal Kombat reaction video is up on my main channel, youtube.com/MCFixer. We're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers over on my second channel, which is technically my third channel, I guess, because this is my second channel, which is more MC Fixer. 1,000 just looks nice compared to 100. So if we can get that to 1,000, if you're not subscribed, if you want gameplay, that's more my gameplay channel. Myself and Nick, my editor, we put a lot of our gameplay stuff up over there. We are bringing gameplay back to the main channel. Like I say, Super Mario World 3D World is out. Will be out by the time you listen to this. And there should be a UFC 4 video going up relatively soon as well. So keep enjoying. I hope you all have a great week. Hopefully Crash will be back next week and we will have some more news for everybody. But until then, I will love you, leave you, and see you all later. Keep being amazing and goodbye.
Bye-bye.